Welcome to the Diaries, episode 25. The Great Migration. The Human Habit of Moving On. By Jim Jones. We hope you enjoy this podcast while you drive, ride, roam, or drone. When people ask me what Tennessee is like, I tell them that we are surrounded by meth labs, shacks, and hookers. We've got NASCAR, hunting, world-class colleges, movie stars, rock stars, country stars, and, unfortunately, politicians. But most of all, we've got freedom. God bless Tennessee and God bless America. The other day I was parked in a parking lot. Watching the road, I saw various U-Hauls coming down a major road in town. I didn't think much of it. Later that day, I was standing out in the yard when I noticed a long black line moving along the edge of the driveway. Ants, not scattered, not wandering aimlessly, moving with purpose. Every one of them carried something, tiny bits of food, dirt, pieces of their world. At first glance, it just looked like ants being ants, but they too were relocating. Something had changed where they were. Maybe water got into the nest. Maybe food ran dry. Maybe the ground beneath them simply stopped working. Whatever the reason, they made a decision, not one at a time, but as a colony, and they took everything with them. People really aren't so different. In my military days, I moved a lot, 11 times during my first 4 years. I moved because I had to, but what they don't tell you about joining the Coast Guard is that you will go to some of the most beautiful spots in the country, but they are also some of the most expensive. In many of those places, I worked side jobs and my wife worked 2 jobs just to make ends meet. For those that can move when conditions become too expensive, too restrictive, too crowded, too crime-ridden, or things simply stop making sense, people start looking for somewhere better. Somewhere with more room, more opportunity, and more freedom, and just like those ants, they rarely come empty-handed. They bring their families, their values, their habits, their expectations, their politics, and their way of life. Lately, Tennessee has begun to feel a lot like that patch of fresh ground, and the migration is becoming impossible to miss. Tennessee didn't suddenly become magical. It didn't discover gold under the hills or invent some secret formula for happiness. What it did do was stay mostly the same: low taxes, fewer restrictions, people minding their own business, a little more room to make your own decisions, a little more room for you to make your own mistakes, a little more room for you to hold yourself accountable to yourself. Last week, my wife and I went to a local bar. Our friend texted my wife and asked her to order her a rum and coke. My wife went to the bar and asked our waitress, "Can I get a rum and coke for my friend?" And the waitress said, "I can't do that until she is here. It's the law." My wife went to the ladies' room and the waitress stopped by. I was unaware my wife had already asked her for the drink. She replied, "Your wife already asked me. I can't until she gets here. It's the rule." A rule? I think that has been the first time in my life that I've heard someone say, "We have a rule." Suggestions, yes, but not a rule. We have some waterfalls that are very dangerous. People die there. When people called for the Forest Service to put the falls off limits, they said no, because they know that people will still go and no one wants to put something off limits when there are a lot of people who hike those falls every day and don't get hurt. At least that is the idea, but things are changing. In my humble observation, Tennessee's cultural shift didn't happen overnight, but Nashville's transformation certainly accelerated when Hollywood, corporate growth, and national tourism turned Music City into something very different from what many longtime Tennesseans once knew. The television series Nashville didn't create the boom, but it helped spotlight a city already evolving from conservative Southern capital into a nationally branded entertainment hub. What followed was not just growth, it was reinvention. Downtown Nashville increasingly shifted from a place known primarily for country music, government, and business into a full-scale tourist machine. Broadway became less about locals and more about visitors. Party buses, pedal taverns, rooftop bars, celebrity-owned honky-tonks, and waves of weekend tourism transformed the city's identity. One of the most visible symbols of this shift became the now famous bachelorette party industry, where bridesmaids in matching boots and cowboy hats flood the streets year-round. often treating Nashville like Las Vegas with a southern soundtrack. For better or worse, Nashville became a destination economy. Tourism dollars exploded, businesses thrived, and national attention soared. But many locals argue that along with the economic benefits came rising housing prices, overcrowding, cultural dilution, and a gradual erosion of the city's older identity. What was once Music City increasingly became Party City. To outsiders, it may look like harmless fun and booming prosperity. To many Tennesseans, it represents something larger: the commercialization of Southern culture and the transformation of a historically grounded city into a national entertainment product. Nashville still carries deep roots in music, history, and Tennessee tradition, but there's no denying it now wears a much flashier outfit. For many, Nashville became the front door to Tennessee's Great Migration, where tourism, celebrity, politics, and outside influence all arrived wearing cowboy boots and carrying margaritas. Long before Tennessee became a modern refuge, one of the most strategically important gateways in the nation's growth happened in 1775 at Sycamore Shoals near present-day Elizabethton. The Transylvania Purchase helped open vast western lands beyond the Appalachian Barrier. Though controversial and fiercely opposed by many Cherokee, this agreement between Richard Henderson's Transylvania Company and certain Cherokee leaders became one of the earliest large-scale attempts to push settlement beyond the original colonies. Daniel Boone's role in blazing the Wilderness Road through the Cumberland Gap transformed Tennessee into a launching point for westward expansion, helping shift America from a string of Atlantic settlements into an expanding continental power. Tennessee's frontier significance did not end there. The region's early self-governing experiments, such as the Watauga Association, represented one of the first attempts by settlers west of the Appalachians to establish organized constitutional governance outside direct British control. In 1784, settlers in what is now East Tennessee broke away from North Carolina in an attempt to form the independent state of Franklin, driven by frustration over political neglect and a desire for local self-government. Though Franklin ultimately failed, it cemented East Tennessee's early reputation for fierce independence and skepticism of distant centralized power. East Tennessee holds a remarkably important place in early American history, serving as home or proving ground for several of the nation's greatest frontier figures such as Daniel Boone, Davy Crockett, Andrew Jackson, and John Sevier. They were explorers, warriors, political leaders, and symbols of America's westward drive, helping shape the nation's expansion, independence, and identity. For such a relatively small region, East Tennessee produced an extraordinary concentration of figures whose lives directly influenced the birth and growth of the United States. During the Civil War, Tennessee became one of the nation's most divided states, geographically and politically straddling both Unionist and Confederate loyalties, particularly with East Tennessee's strong pro-Union leanings. By the 20th century, Tennessee again stepped onto the global stage through Oak Ridge and the Manhattan Project. Hidden in the hills of East Tennessee, Oak Ridge became a secret city central to uranium enrichment during World War II, directly contributing to the development of the atomic bomb and forever tying Tennessee to the dawn of the nuclear age. Culturally, Tennessee's significance may be even more profound. Bristol helped give birth to country music and is home to NASCAR's Bristol Motor Speedway, which is one of the largest stadiums in the United States and one of the biggest dedicated sports venues in the world. Memphis electrified the blues, launched rock and soul, and became the home of Elvis, while Nashville became a global music capital. Tennessee did not simply contribute to American music, it helped define it. One of the first things newcomers to Tennessee quickly learn is that living inside city limits and living out in the county can feel like two entirely different worlds, even if they're only separated by a few miles. Inside city limits, you're more likely to deal with higher property taxes, city ordinances, zoning rules, permits, and tighter regulations on everything from building projects to noise levels. You may have better access to utilities, faster emergency services, and closer shopping, but you'll also likely trade some freedom for convenience. Out in the county, life often comes with fewer restrictions, lower taxes, more land, and a stronger sense of independence. People in county areas may burn brush, shoot firearms, keep livestock, or build with fewer bureaucratic hurdles, but they may also rely on wells, septic systems, longer emergency response times, and greater self-sufficiency. For many, relocating to Tennessee, choosing between city and county living is not just about location. It is about deciding how much regulation, space, freedom, and responsibility they truly want in their daily lives. Come and gather round, because if you live in Tennessee, you've probably noticed something. The license plates are changing. Where there used to be mostly Tennessee tags, now you'll spot them from all over. The states that most immigrants are coming from in order are California, Florida, Texas, Illinois, and New York. While each state has its own reasons, the common themes are familiar: high taxes, rising housing costs, increased regulation, overcrowding, and shifting cultural or political climates. We also have halfbacks. These are people who leave the North, go to Florida, and decide it is too populated, too expensive, or they can't afford insurance, so they come halfway back up and land in Tennessee or North Carolina. Tennessee has its own problems, but compared to states where taxes feel like punishment and regulations stack like cinder blocks, Tennessee can feel like stepping out of a crowded room and finally catching your breath. If you are thinking about moving or are new here, here are some things to help you out. The Tennessee state flag is simple but deeply symbolic, featuring 3 white stars inside a blue circle on a red field. Those stars represent Tennessee's 3 distinct grand divisions, East, Middle, and West Tennessee, united as one state despite their different geography, culture, and history. Tennessee may fly under one flag, but economically and socially, its 3 grand divisions often feel like 3 different states sharing the same border. West Tennessee, anchored by Memphis and the Mississippi River, has deep roots in agriculture, shipping, logistics, and blues culture. Socially, West Tennessee carries stronger influences from the Deep South, with a heavier urban-rural divide, significant African-American cultural impact, and a history shaped by Delta traditions, music, and civil rights struggles. Middle Tennessee, centered around Nashville, is Tennessee's economic powerhouse and fastest-growing region. It thrives on healthcare, finance, corporate headquarters, higher education, music, and tourism. Socially, it tends to be more suburban, commercially driven, and politically mixed, blending traditional Southern values with rapid urban expansion and outside influence. East Tennessee, where Appalachia dominates, has historically been shaped by manufacturing, small business, tourism, outdoor recreation, and energy production, including Oak Ridge's scientific and federal presence. The Smoky Mountains are the most visited national park in the United States. Socially, East Tennessee often reflects stronger Appalachian traditions, tighter community ties, more rural conservatism, and a culture rooted in self-reliance, church, family, and regional identity. And yes, if you look hard enough, you can find moonshine and sadly illegal drug operations. If you're moving here, understand this. Hillbilly isn't necessarily an insult if you say it right. Its culture, its identity, and language matters. You may hear phrases like over yonder, down the road a piece, right up the holler, or bless your heart, which depending on tone can mean kindness, pity, or a warning shot. My could is a legitimate phrase. Y'all is efficient grammar. Fixin' to is an actual timeline. These aren't verbal mistakes. They're part of the regional operating system. Folks often mistake Appalachian speech for poor grammar, when in truth, many mountain expressions are linguistic fossils, preserving forms of English older than the polished dialects that later looked down on them. What some call hillbilly talk is often colonial America with a drawl. Then comes lifestyle shock. Things move slower here, not lazy, not backward, just different. People may talk to you while standing in line. Your neighbor may wave. Never judge a person by what clothes they wear. Someone may hold the door open. Conversations can last longer than your original errand. In many places, courtesy still matters. Yes, sir. No, ma'am. Thank you. Respect is not considered oppression. Laws vary in different parts of Tennessee, especially rural areas, and depending on where you came from, that may feel either refreshing or unsettling. You're also likely to notice something else: guns. You may see them, you may hear them. You should probably assume many households own them. You should assume everyone is carrying one before you decide to get into someone's face. For many locals, firearms are less about politics and more about tradition, self-reliance, hunting, or constitutional rights. If you find yourself in front of a jury of your peers, it may not be like other states. In East Tennessee, during the 2020 Black Lives Matter protests in Johnson City, a North Carolina man drove his SUV into a group of protesters blocking an intersection, seriously injuring one individual. He was initially charged with aggravated assault, but a grand jury issued a no true bill, meaning the case did not proceed to trial and no conviction resulted. During that time, several college demonstrators were arrested for blocking traffic after refusing police orders to disperse, and their arrests, along with their mugshots, became front-page local news. Driving can be another wake-up call. Rural Tennessee does not always operate on urban urgency. You will encounter tractors, bicyclists, winding roads, church traffic, or someone slowing down because they actually know the person walking along the road. Driving in the left lane may get you a ticket if you are slower than those in the right lane. This is called the slowpoke law. If you don't get a ticket, you will get dirty looks. Jesus and Friday night football are a big deal. Sunday morning often belongs to church. Friday night often belongs to high school football. That may sound simplistic to outsiders, but in many communities, these aren't casual traditions. These rituals still help define the rhythm of life. Now here comes the unspoken tension. If you moved here, or whatever state you pick, because you love the lower taxes, fewer restrictions, stronger sense of freedom, and slower pace, then it's worth understanding what created those conditions in the first place. This doesn't mean newcomers aren't welcome. I can tell you that people will be nice to you, but if two people are local, meaning they grew up here, the conversation is much different. Getting to know your neighbors goes a long way. Even if your neighbor is a mile down the road, just introducing yourself is awesome, and they may be the people you need one day for a little help. The people here are usually nice and helpful. If your car breaks down, someone will stop and help you. If a tree comes down during a storm, there will be 10 men within 15 minutes with chainsaws they had in the back of their car or truck to clean the highway up. Don't be surprised if someone in front of you bought your meal in the drive-up window. Sometimes your word goes further than a contract. If you live in the county, don't ask stupid questions. You can do just about anything without permission or a permit. Yes, many counties do not require a permit to build. If you hire a crappy contractor to work on your house, that's on you. If you are in the county, your neighbor may be burning their garbage because they didn't want to take it to the dump. People show up to help if needed. During Hurricane Helene, it was obvious that the government was not showing up, so people from towns away showed up to help strangers. No organization, just people doing people things. There is a quiet concern when large numbers of people flee one system only to rebuild it somewhere else. Many locals are sensitive to the steady wave of newcomers, not necessarily because they oppose growth, but because they are already seeing its effects. Housing inventory is tightening. Farmland and rural spaces are increasingly being converted into subdivisions. Roads are busier, schools face growing pressure, and small communities are being asked to expand faster than many were designed to. Recent population growth in the Tri-Cities region has brought economic opportunity, but also significant infrastructure demands, from roads and utilities to classrooms, emergency services, and healthcare. Growth may strengthen the economy, but it also comes with a very real cost. Every moving truck that arrives brings not only new neighbors, but new demands, new expenses, and difficult decisions about how to preserve the quality of life that drew people here in the first place. I have seen many people come and go over politics, weather, and the search for something better. Tennessee, like much of America, carries its own cultural expectations, and newcomers quickly learn that fitting in is often less about party labels and more about understanding local values. I'm not saying you have to wear a red hat, but in many parts of the state you may want to stand for the national anthem, respect the Pledge of Allegiance, and recognize that patriotism still holds strong cultural weight. Expect lots of prayers at public events or local restaurants. Depending on where you settle, Whether in a deeply conservative rural county or a more progressive urban pocket, people are going to notice how you carry yourself. In red areas, blue opinions may raise eyebrows. In blue areas, traditional views may draw criticism. That's not unique to Tennessee, but it is part of understanding that every region has its own social currents. And whether fair or not, people on the other side are probably going to talk about you. You will still see Confederate flags in parts of Tennessee, particularly in some rural areas. And for many families, those symbols are often tied, rightly or wrongly, to ancestry, regional identity, or family history connected to the Civil War. For newcomers, it is wise to observe before judging too quickly. If your neighbor's yard looks like a junkyard and you live in the county, no one cares. You can move and maybe buy more land. If your neighbor's dog barks at night, no one cares. If your neighbor is shooting a gun in the county and you call the police and they do come, they will check out their property, and if they ain't hitting your house, they will probably ask if they can shoot your gun and tell you that your neighbor made the complaint. Expect fireworks leading up to the 4th of July and New Year's Eve. Some of the fireworks here look like something that should have come from a field artillery unit. If you have a dog with nervous problems, you may want to get it drunk before nightfall. In county areas, don't expect a lot of HOAs. For country folks, they don't see the point of paying money to someone that you can ask permission to do stuff on your own property or be fined if they don't like something. Hell, most people in the country don't like the government, much less a pay-for-service government like an HOA. Expect deer, bear, and other critters in your yards. Don't leave food out, and they usually go on their way. Note, if you live in Gatlinburg, their bears know how to open doors. If you move down there, I recommend getting a garage. That's really what the Great Migration is about. Not geography, not politics alone, but behavior. America has always been a nation of movement. People leave what no longer works. They chase opportunity. They search for freedom, but every migration carries ideas along with furniture. Every moving truck also hauls beliefs, expectations, and habits. Tennessee is not just growing, it is being tested. The question is whether those arriving will adapt to what drew them here or slowly reshape it into the very thing they left behind. Because in the end, Tennessee isn't just a destination, it's an idea, and like all good things in America, whether it stays that way depends on the people who call it home. Y'all come on in now. Just remember why you came. Please like, share, and subscribe if you like these stories. Thank you, Jim D. Jones.